Michael, and today I'm going to talk to you all about depression, specifically how you can use natural supplements and just not natural supplements per se, how you can treat it naturally. We're not really going to talk a lot about supplements, maybe a little bit, but not a lot. If you are feeling like you may hurt yourself or your depression is so bad that you cannot function, please call 911 or go to your nearest emergency room to get treatment. Do not feel like you are a burden or that you're crazy or anything of that sort. Depression is a disorder, just like any other disorder. It just affects a different organ, which happens to be our brain. And if you are feeling like you're hurting yourself and you are unable to carry on your daily routines, the best gift you can give to yourself, your family, your friends is to get help. So I want you to, before you even listen to this, if you're in that category, please get help. So what things can we do for depression other than taking medications? Well, the number one thing I'm going to talk about is exercise. I mean, exercise is probably the single most important thing that can help you feel better. When you exercise, your body produces endorphins, which makes you feel better. You always feel good pretty much after you've exercised because it's one of those things that a lot of us don't like to do, but after we do it, we feel a whole lot better. I'm also going to tell you that I worked for a psychiatric hospital back in the late 90s. And we had a psychiatrist there who prescribed 30 minutes of walking in the morning outside to every patient that he had that was depressed. And the reason for this is because walking outside, getting some fresh air, getting light on your skin to create more vitamin D are all things that can improve your mood, and it costs nothing. You just walk outside, walk around the block. Just make sure you do it when it's light outside. And in the morning's the best time really to do this, if you can do it in the morning. But it's better to do it at a different part of the day than it is to not do it at all. I also want you to check your vitamin D levels. You probably should be doing this every year. If your level is less than 20 nanograms per mil, you probably need a vitamin D supplement. And be sure when you buy supplements that you buy good quality supplements. I do have one in my store, sunshinentc.com, where you can find a vitamin K2 D3 supplement that is high quality. It is not expensive. If you use the code SPRING10, you'll get 10% off. And shipping is always free in the United States. So we talked about exercise. We talked about vitamin D. Number 3, stop watching the news. Why would I tell you to stop watching the news? Because the news is full of negativity. Negativity makes you feel bad. Making you feel bad is what we're trying to get away from. Stop watching the news. Instead of watching the news, turn on YouTube and look for Trent Shelton. Watch him. If you watch Trent Shelton for half an hour instead of the news, I guarantee you, you will feel better than if you watch the news. The news makes everybody feel awful, Emily, and that's why I always recommend not doing it. And by the way, Emily, if you have any questions for me, you can interrupt me at any time and ask me whatever you want. That's why I'm here. I just have a topic of things I want to talk about during this half hour or 20 minutes or whatever it is. And I prefer to answer people's questions, but you can ask me anything about medications. You can ask me about mental health. You can ask me about mindset. You can ask me about anything that you want to, as long as it's not politics. because I don't like to talk about politics, but I can talk about almost anything else. Another thing that I would suggest you do is stay active. Do things with other people. Do not become a recluse and just stay in your house away from people, because we are a social being. We like to be around other people. So that is going to be the other things. I strongly recommend staying active, doing things that make you happy. Okay. I talk about happiness elements all the time, and a happiness element is different for everybody. Some people like to ski. Some people like to hike. Some people like to go to the beach. That's me. That's why I live here. I love the beach. Some people want to spend time with their grandkids. Some people like to go hunting. Whatever it is that you like to do, make sure you're spending enough time doing it. Not only that, but make sure you schedule it into your day, just like you do everything else. If you're not feeling so great and your mood is, you've been really on top of exercise, good. Taking vitamin D and magnesium. Okay. So anxiety. So I'm going to talk a little bit about anxiety too. So anxiety, now that you brought that up, let's jump into that real quick. You can take Prozac for your anxiety and it will help you, but I strongly suggest getting yourself some coping mechanisms for that anxiety. And different things work for different people. So what are some of the things that you can try? Music helps some people. Guided imagery, deep breathing techniques. You can, there's apps you can actually get on your phone. Hi, April. That will help you with these things, okay? Yoga, Tai Chi, all of these types of things can help you. And everybody, again, is different. But the reason coping mechanisms are so important for anxiety is because the drugs may work, but they may not always work. And when something really bad happens, your anxiety level might skyrocket, even on the drugs. So if you don't have coping mechanisms that you can depend on that work for you, even if you're on a drug for anxiety, you may still end up anxious. And most people wait too long before they learn these coping mechanisms. That's one of the big problems, is they wait until they're anxious and then they try to learn them. These mechanisms are no different than anything else. You have to practice them. So it's best to find one. If you don't have any coping mechanisms for anxiety right now, I would strongly suggest, even if you're not anxious, finding some. And some of us have them and we don't even know it. Music is a big one, right? Music is a big one. Some people read books. There's a million things you can do for anxiety. And a lot of this stuff on depression here that I'm talking about today will also work for anxiety. It's not just for depression only. Always remember to schedule your happiness elements. That's what I was just talking about. You're trying to use it as a tool for now because I've been in therapy. Good. And environment can be a big factor. It can. If your environment is someplace that you need to get out of, if you're in an abusive relationship, if you have a job you hate. I just did a video right here on YouTube not very long ago. I think it was 3 videos ago about ways to make yourself happier. Hi, Kat. These are the types of things I want you guys to think about. If your environment makes you feel bad and you have any way to change it, then change it. Or at least take steps to try to change it. You don't have to do everything at once. Small steps can lead to big gains. Okay. Another thing that you can do is take a walk in nature. Now, during the summertime and the springtime, when I take a break, I like to walk around and I just kind of look at leaves and trees and stuff that God has made for us, and just take your mind away from the crap that you're dealing with at work or wherever you are, and just appreciate nature. Look at birds flying. If you're where I am, you can look at the beach, right? Whatever you like to see in nature, find it. This is why hiking is so helpful to a lot of people, because not only are you getting outside and getting your vitamin D, you're also exercising, you're getting fresh air, and you're looking at nature all at the same time. So it is cold here. That's why I have this hat on, Kat. I wouldn't. It's 43 degrees. So what else can you do? Start a gratitude journal. This is something that a lot of us know we should be doing and we don't do it. I have an app on my phone. Every day in the morning, it asks me what I'm grateful for. Every night, it asks me what I'm grateful for. I think I paid $5 for it 5 years ago. I just type stuff in and I try to make them different every day. Hi, Reagan. How are you? Thanks for coming in. If you guys have questions, please ask them. Please ask them. You ran 2 miles today. Perfect. Exercise was number one. You missed that. If you're depressed, exercise is my number one thing on this list. Exercise. Check vitamin D levels. Stop watching the news. Be sure to stay active. Celebrate your wins. So this is another thing. I was talking to one of our quality girls this morning, actually one of my favorite people that works here, because I ended up getting a complaint from a patient that it turns out after about an hour of research didn't even belong to me. And so I let her know that. I said, you know, it wasn't even me, it was somebody else. And she said, I was on there this morning, Reagan. It's because you haven't been on there. I'm on TikTok still in the morning, guys. I still go on TikTok in the morning, usually between 5 and 5:30 a.m. during the week. So you can still see me on TikTok. But anyway, she said, because it's not for you, that's a win. And you should keep track of your wins. And why is that important? It's important because when you don't feel so great, if you keep track of the wins, it improves your mood just because, hey, I'm making progress. I'm doing some things that are good, right? Keeping track of your wins is important. Meditation, yoga, Tai Chi. I already talked about that. I'll try, Reagan. I'll try to do some more evening TikTok lives if I can. The thing is, I've been working so hard on these YouTube videos. They take most of my time in the evening. I think it's well worth it. And now's a good time to explain why I think YouTube is worth it. There's a couple of things that I like about YouTube that TikTok does not have. Number one, I can put links to my products or anything I want in the description section of the video. But even more important than that, the content stays there forever. People don't ever watch your TikTok videos after a little while. They generally stop watching them and nobody watches them anymore. But you can have a YouTube video that people watch 5 years from now. You know, if you have something that's of interest to people, then TikTok's the way to, or YouTube's the way to go. So that's part of the reason that I switched. Plus, I just feel like I can be more creative here. I can do longer videos. It's just a better system. It's way harder, but I think it will pay off in the end. So I'm going to flip this thing over. Okay, this is a big one. What you eat changes the way you feel. And I'm going to tell you something right now. If you don't believe this is true, do the Whole30 diet. If you don't believe that what you eat can actually change the way you feel, go on to, and I'm not, the Whole30 diet's not paying me anything, guys. I did it once and I did it only so I could write a blog post on it. But I'm telling you right now, what you eat changes how you feel. What should you eat? I'm sure the people that watch me on TikTok already know the answer to this question. What you should be eating is whole foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains. Stay away from refined sugars, white carbs, white rice, white potatoes, white pasta. If you change the way you eat, it will definitely change the way you feel. Eliminate alcohol. If you're a depressed person, one of the single most important things that you can do to make yourself feel better is stop drinking alcohol. And the reason for this is because alcohol is a depressant. Alcohol's a depressant. It's not going to make you feel any better. If you're using it for anxiety, it's a downward spiral. Don't do it. Get plenty of sleep. You guys are starting to hear the 5 pillars of health here, right? That's what this is. You know, the 5 pillars of health will pretty much help you with almost anything, including depression. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. No matter what your mental problem is, if you don't sleep or you don't get enough sleep, you're going to get worse. If you're bipolar, the bipolar is going to get worse. If you're depressed, the depression is going to get worse. If you're anxious, the anxiety is going to get worse. Make sure you get enough sleep. There's no excuses, guys. No excuses. None. If you're working too many jobs and you're not getting enough sleep, you need to make some changes because you're taking years off your life. Sleep is important for our bodies. It's important for your mood. It's important for everything. And will moonshine kill virus? No. No, moonshine's not going to kill anything except your brain cells. No, guys. No, it will not kill a virus. Now let's talk a little bit about medications. Do you think that there's too many people on antidepressants in this world right now? The answer to that question is for sure, yes. There's way too many people on them. What ends up happening to a lot of people is they go through a breakup or somebody dies or they lose a job or something happens that's less than ideal in their life and they run to the doctor and the doctor spends 10 minutes and they look at you and they say, oh, here's some Prozac, here's some Zoloft, here's some Lexapro, here's something. And then you never get off of it, right? You love the turmeric. Don't eat the whole thing. Don't do that, Groovy. Don't do that. Don't do that. 2 grams a day is max. I take 500 milligrams. That's it. Okay. Anyway. Medications. Are there people that need them? Absolutely, there are people that need medications for depression. There is, right? Are they overused? Yes, they're overused. So if you do the things that I have explained to you, yes, turmeric will help inflammation in your knee. Turmeric will help depression. So now that we're on turmeric, let's talk a little bit about what supplements you can take. Vitamin D is number 1 if your vitamin D levels are low. You got to make sure, and we talked about that a little bit earlier. That's number 1. Turmeric is probably a close second. Turmeric will help your mood. It will help with inflammation. It will help with pain. And it's an antioxidant, so it can help repair cell damage from oxidative stress. Another good one is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha can also help with depression. It is a... You tell him every time he yells at you. You're funny. You're killing me. So ashwagandha is an adaptogen. So it helps your body adapt to different things. Depression is no different, right? So it can also help you. Let's go back to medications. I am going to say that, first of all, if you're thinking of hurting yourself, like I said at the beginning, or the depression has changed the way you feel, and you can't actually get through a day because you're so depressed, you can't come out of your room, you're somebody who is trying to stay away from people, you're not eating or you're eating too much, you're not sleeping, you're sleeping too much, that's the time that you want to call 911 or go to the emergency room and get some help. Guys, I said it before, I'm going to say it again. There's nothing wrong with getting help for a mental disorder. If people think of you differently because of that, they're the people you don't want to be around anyway. And I can tell you that almost everybody runs through periods of their life when they have problems with their mood, or they have problems with the way they're feeling Or I mean, all of us run into it, right? We all have periods in our lives where less than ideal things happen to us. So don't feel bad about getting help. But try these things first and don't forget your coping skills. Try different things. See what works for you. I'm going to strongly suggest Trent Shelton again. And I think that, I don't know Trent Shelton, but he's helped me a lot. He's on here. You can find him on YouTube. Just type in Trent Shelton. You'll see him. He's all over. He's an ex-NFL football player. He's probably one of the people I watch the most on here to elevate my mood. If you just watch him, the book. Yeah, we'll talk about the book in a minute. If you just watch Trent Shelton instead of the news, you'll be miles ahead. The book Kat's talking about is called Feeling Good, and it's by somebody. It's by somebody who is a psychiatrist, and his name's Dr. David Burns. And he is someone who came up with a book called Feeling Good that has a lot of different, what do I want to call them? Little things that you can do in them, things you can write down, different ways of thinking about things. And that book has been shown to be just as effective as an SSRI for depression. So I will strongly suggest for anxiety or depression that book. And he's got a new one out calling, guys, let's not fight in here. Kat, Groovy's fine. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Trust me. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Now I lost my train of thought. She uses it. That's right. You told me that. So that book is really, really good. Oh, what I was going to say is there's another book called Feeling Great. I actually have it in my office right now. And I read just a couple of pages or a few pages a day whenever I have time. It's one of those things that I use to take myself away. I also use mindfulness when I'm at work. So I've got apps on my phone. Calm is one of them. That's a good one. And Headspace is another one. Yes, the book is good for both. Absolutely. And you can actually watch his TED Talk. If you go to TED Talk and just type in David Burns TED Talk, he talks about how he created this and what it's done for him and his patient load and all that. It's pretty cool. He's a very smart guy. And I'm sure he's helped millions and millions and millions and millions of people with this book. But the problem with the book is the problem that I always tell people, it's not going to help you if you don't read it and you don't do the exercises in it. So there's a lot of people out there, and I'm one of them who sometimes buys books and never, I might read the first chapter and then I just kind of forget about it and I move on to something else. Books don't help you if you don't read them, just like medications don't help you if you don't take them. And in this particular book, if you don't do the exercises, you're going to get nowhere. But I'll give you an example of what this book can help you with. So we've all had days where we've thought to ourselves, I'm never going to make it through today. This is the worst day of my life. Okay, those are negative thinking errors. That's what we call them. I'm never going to get through today. He would tell you to write that down on the left side of the page. And on the right side, write, what's reality here? I'm going to get through today because I've been through every other day. There's no reason today can be any different, right? If you keep doing these types of things when you start thinking that way, and there's a whole bunch of different thinking errors, that's just one. Your mind will automatically soon start doing it without you having to write it down. Because our minds are powerful, guys. They're powerful. And if you can train yourself to be happier. You can train yourself not to think negatively. You can train yourself to be a happier person. Remove yourself. There is a specific workbook too. He does have one. Yes. If you want to just buy the regular book, you can go to my Beacons link, and there's a link to it right in there, Reagan. There's a link to the book right in there. And the reason it's one of the only books, I think the only other book that's in that link tree is Jetty May's book. But yes, it is a very, very helpful book. It's probably the one I would recommend more than anything else. But I think there's a lot of YouTube people, if you don't like to read or you don't want to concentrate that much, that can help you too. And yes, journaling is good. And sometimes writing the bad things down are good too. Sometimes. But you got to make sure that you put those bad things down in a way to where you can fix them. Memory. Okay, so Groovy Caps, I have something called Brain and Focus, and that is what I would say you should try. My website is www.sunshinentc.com. So Brain and Focus is probably going to be the best thing in there for actual memory. A lot of people take that too. The anxiety formula is going to help you with anxiety. If you've got anxiety and you haven't tried it, I strongly recommend trying it, because it can definitely change the way you feel. So, does anybody have any last minute questions for me before I go back into the hospital? Now, tomorrow is going to be a different day altogether. I'm going to try to do a live at lunch, but it's going to be later because I have to drive to Corvallis, which is about an hour away. I've got a 4-hour meeting there, and then I've got to come back. So 5 hours of my time is going to be spent driving. Sometimes I take magnesium. I don't have it in my store yet, but I've thought about adding it. I haven't done it yet, but I've thought about it. I do take magnesium sometimes, but I don't take it every day. The things I take every day are Sunshine Multivite, K2D3, and turmeric. Those are ones I always take no matter what. Some days I throw in Probiotic 40, and other days I will throw in some ashwagandha or maybe some sea moss. But really, those are my 3 main supplements, are the vitamin D and the multivite and the turmeric. The turmeric is the one, if I was going to get rid of everything but one, that is the one I would need to take every day because it helps with my pain. I have arthritis in my back, so it helps with that. But it also it's good for your cells, right? I also cook with turmeric. So a lot of times I will add that in with my chicken. Just always remember that if you're cooking with turmeric, you always need to add black pepper with it, because that increases the amount that gets absorbed by 2,000%, which is a lot. So don't just try to cook with turmeric with no pepper. Okay, guys, I've been on here 28.5 minutes. It's time for me to go back in. I'm glad you guys were here. We are going to try walnuts and garlic. Yes. We are going to try to do this most days now at lunch. We're going to see how these live streams on YouTube go. So far, they've done fairly well. They're getting views, and I don't have to edit them. That's what I like, is I can just talk to you guys without having to edit. My name is Pharmacist Michael. Be happy and be healthy. Healthy. Can't even talk. And don't forget to watch my videos. I just did one on dementia. Vitamin D and dementia that's doing very well. I think it has almost 500 views. It just came out yesterday. You should check that one out. And I also did one on the little guy and my weekend together. That's the one I just released this morning at 9 o'clock. So check that one out too. If you have any questions, you can always email me, michael.brown@sunshinentc.com. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, or you can also email me the questions, and I will see all of you very soon. Bye, everyone.